Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Srinath, and straight on to Rafale. The government is on the defensive as far as the Rafale deal is concerned, sharing details of the mega deal for 36 fighter jets from French defense equipment major Dassault. The centre today informed the Supreme Court that all mandatory procedures were followed before giving a final go-ahead. According to the submission, the approval was taken from the Defence Acquisition Council in May 2015, and the deal was finalised after holding 74 meetings with the French team over a year. The important point to note is that the deal was actually announced in April 2015 by the Prime Minister when he was visiting Paris. The documents shared with the top court in a sealed envelope say the deal was finally signed on the 24th of... Actually, it was given a CCS clearance on the 24th of August, and then it was subsequently signed in September 2016. The most important sentence says there is no mention of a private offset partner in the deal, and Dassault is free to select any Indian company of its choice. But the moot question revolves around the final price, which looks much higher than the original price at which it was being negotiated during UPA regime. Reports seem to suggest nearly 40% higher. The Rafale files and the impact on the forthcoming general elections is the big topic of discussion and debate right here on the India Development Debate this evening. Let me take it across to an expert panel that's joining us right here. Naren Taneja, spokesperson of the BJP, Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress, Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate of the Supreme Court of India, and Maruf Raza, consultant and strategic affairs expert, who joins us also right here. So thank you each one of you for being with us. And let me just begin with question number one. The government has given details and asserted that the defense procurement policy of 2013 was followed in procurement of the 36 Rafale jets. The question though is, what made the government share details? Pricing details have been shared. An entire sequence of events has been done. Is the government in some way cornered into sharing these details? And let me take this question across to Sanjay Hegde before I go across to the politicians and the strategic affair expert on the show. Sanjay Hegde.
Well, the Supreme Court had asked for these details, and once the court asked for it, there is no question of a government hiding anything. And the only way that you can keep things from the other side is to claim privilege, which is allowed under the law, where you say that I would not want these details to reach the other side. And even on that, the court has to take a call. Here, the government has not claimed privilege. It handed over documents and a report on this in a sealed cover. And the court, after looking at it, has also indicated that it should be given to the other side. So, I would not use the phrase that it has been cornered into it, but circumstances have certainly made it necessary for the government to be as transparent as possible in response to court queries.
Okay, as responsive as possible in response to court queries. Mr. Taneja, let me come to you. From maintaining the high moral ground that no details can be given other than, saying that we've signed these deals, the government has now given details that can be shared with the other side. And yes, pricing is a detail that has been given in a sealed envelope. Has the government been made to respond, because no more amount of secrecy in any case was going to be a good news as far as the Rafale deal is concerned?
No. On the contrary, what did the court said? The court said it very, very clearly that if the pricing detail, I'm quoting, was exclusive, quote unquote, then government could, and that the government could not share that information, then the center government should just file an affidavit in this regard and say so. That's all. So the government had that option not to share those details. But the government decided very clearly to share the details, because sharing details with the Supreme Court of the land, with the judges of the Supreme Court, is absolutely safe. Because the moment you share the financial details, the price details, those who know this business, they would know about the categories and categorization of the weaponry system. But here you are sharing this information with the people you can trust 100%, with the judges of the Supreme Court, with the Supreme Court of the land. So you feel it's absolutely safe. There is nothing to worry about. It's just that. That's the point. So through this, the government has made a point that the only reason the government does want to share this information with people like Mr. Rahul Gandhi is because the government feels that that information would not be safe. You see the way he talks. He's calling Pradhan Mantri Chor. So with that kind of person, with that kind of thing, you can't share the information. But as for the Supreme Court, the government has shared. So there was an option not to share that information.
Okay, one second, Narendra Taneja. Are you saying that the judges of the Supreme Court are, you know, better people to share this with than elected representatives in the country? I mean, are you telling me that Parliament is not supreme and things should not be shared in Parliament? I'm just a little perplexed at what you just said. Are you telling me that elected representatives who represent the people of this country don't deserve to know what the details of a deal are and the judges of the Supreme Court can? I'm a little perplexed there, but I will take this across to Maruf Raza. And Maruf, in the brief summary of the procurement procedure of Rafale deal, the affidavit submitted by the center in this court says that negotiations between India and French side started in May 2015. If so, how did the Prime Minister announce the deal in April 2015, the 10th of April 2015? 36 Rafale jets. The DSC approvals came in on the 13th of May 2015. The CCS approval came on the 24th of August 2016. And of course, the offset contract and the deal was finally signed in September 2016. How did he announce the deal before the cabinet approval? Because now this is documented.
You see, I can only draw conjectures with the facts that are available in the public domain and some facts that I have had access to, which are probably not in the public domain. So the first point to understand is that as far as I understood, while the Prime Minister announced that the deal has been agreed upon between him and the head of the French government then, the deal was finally signed later. That means, and I'm not an apologist for the government, but I would assume that he came back and got all the necessary approvals, keeping in mind the procedures that were to be followed. However, the fact that we need to understand, and the bigger debate is about the pricing issue. There are 2-3 things that have missed the public debate. The first is, why did the Prime Minister go in for 36 jets and why not the whole 126 aircraft deal, which was being talked about for some time? I think it was being deliberated between 2001, 2008, then came up again for consideration later. So the whole exercise has been going on for a long time, almost 14, 15 years before it was finally done. The reason was that the Air Force was asked to project the worst case scenario and what they need, keeping in mind the several years ahead what will be the wear and tear and the non-usage of the aircrafts in his inventory, which are most of them are on their last legs. Therefore, the figure of 126 was arrived. Why did 36 aircraft come into play? It came into play because it's not just in the Rafale case, it's in the case of the Sukhoi also, it was in the case of the Mirage also, that full-fledged, ready-to-fly, operable squadrons were ordered, and it doesn't have to be 18 aircrafts which make up one squadron. It could be 2 squadrons, it could be even 4 squadrons, as we saw in the case of the Sukhoi. The Prime Minister took a call to ask for 2 squadrons based on the advice given to him by the then Air Force chiefs, and this has been confirmed to me by people at the highest level who said 2 things to me. One is, they said, give us a minimum of 2 fighting squadrons ready to operate yes, of course, I'm coming to that point. And the second thing they said, and this has been said in... Okay, now let me answer that people of India bit. Now, the people of India, the best way forward, and I think the government has not handled this properly, should have called the opposition for a closed-door meeting and exposed them to the details much in advance before this controversy spiraled out of control. I don't know. It looked almost as though the government had a death wish that, we will go ahead and do this and we don't give a damn as to what you say.
Absolutely.
And therefore played along into the trap that has been set for them. Technically, And in terms of financial
Right. But Maruf, I am
issues,
going to go strictly
both
by
of
the...
this is
Maruf, let me come in there. Let me come in there, please. I am going to go strictly by the affidavit that has been submitted in the Supreme Court. And that affidavit nowhere mentions who advised the Prime Minister. That affidavit does not say on what basis 126 was cancelled to 36. That affidavit does not say who advised the Prime Minister. Because if you go by the chronological event that the affidavit talks about, it is the PM announced. Then, of course, the Defence Acquisition Council came in. Then the CCS came in, then the contract was signed. I am just saying the affidavit on the ground is not telling me who has advised the Prime Minister. I know you have your ears close to the ground. I know you have sources. But people of India don't have those sources, and I think they need to be told who advised. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. But let me go across to Adil Singh Boparai. No, 1 second. I'll come back to you. Adil Singh Boparai, the Congress party has been going hammer and tongs on this. But the reality also is that the RFP had to be withdrawn in March 2015 because HAL was going to take a lot more time. I think 2.7 times more man hours than Dassault was doing back home, and also you could not arrive at you could not arrive at a decision as far as the manufactured in India and the direct flyaway was concerned, despite a negotiation of 12 long years, and which is why the RFP had to be withdrawn. And this is the affidavit in the Supreme Court. I'm presuming this tells the absolute truth, because otherwise this is perjury. So on that count, the Congress has to be blamed as well. You've been going hammer and tongs after them.
Supriya ji, 60 seconds and I'll demonstrate to your viewers this is a scam. First thing, the attempted cover-up by Mr. Modi is falling apart. Now, you've caught on to something very critical. The Prime Minister, the Emperor, goes to Paris on the 10th of April and announces a deal with the French without the approval of the Defence Acquisition Council, without the approval of the CCS. Now, let's understand, this is not Mr. Modi's private bank account. This is Government of India Treasury. He cannot take these decisions without the approval of the CCS. This is point number one. Point number two, I'll tell you where the scam is. The scam is in the arbitrary fixation of the price and the selection of the offset partner. Now, coming to the arbitrary fixation of price, it is clear that there are no additional equipment which has been added. This is part of the joint statement of both the French and the Indian Premier. Now, something which was being purchased for about 500 crore rupees has been purchased by the Government of India at an inflated cost of 1600 crore rupees. This is point number two. Point number three, Dassault has made it clear, there is information in public domain that Dassault saw this as a quid pro quo situation, that they had to choose Anil Ambani if they wanted this contract. And most importantly, Dassault invests 284 crore rupees in a company which has a net loss of 9 lakh rupees. RADL is a loss-making company. The first tranche of quid pro quo kickbacks is 284 crore rupees by Dassault to Anil Ambani.
Separate subject I'm discussing. I will come back to you. No, 1 second. Adil Singh Boparai, I will come back to you.
This is where the scam is.
Offset contract, because the government has put in this affidavit.
You cover economics and business.
1 second, Adil. This is not how I do a discussion.
284 crores in a company
which
is
1 second, Adil. You can't go on. I've given you 60 seconds to speak. Please keep quiet for a minute now. Naren Taneja, while Adil Singh Boparai, for political reasons, is pointing out, and rightly so, about the ineptness of price rise, the reality is that there is a built-in escalation clause, and there is no denying that. There is a built-in escalation clause. There's also a forex clause because of which prices were going up. The point is that this built-in escalation cost is 3.5% annually. So even if it was delayed, it would go up by 10-12%. Prices that are now in the public domain seem to be 40% higher. If you look at the RFP of 2007 that some of us have viewed and it's now out in the public domain, it was 40% higher. And please don't be misled by weaponry, because the weaponry and cost of, the frills that they put is pretty much the same.
No. I think you probably, this information is not in the public domain. You see, the pricing information is now with the government and is now with the Supreme Court. It's not in the and you said the Parliament asked for it. Parliament has not asked for this information. We are in majority in the Parliament. Parliament has not asked for it. It's only one person, is Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And if he has an evidence, he should go to the Supreme Court and submit in a sealed envelope that he has gotten evidence that, you know, there is corruption involved in the whole thing and the whole thing is a scam. You know, he should go to the Supreme Court as early as possible, submit that information and evidence in a sealed envelope like the government has done. Otherwise, it's just politics. They're trying to create, you know, a scam out of absolutely nothing, and the people of India can see through it. Now, you said about the announcing the deal and the formalization of the deal. You said, how can you announce without, you know, first formalizing it? S-400 shield deal that India is buying from Russia was announced a year ago, but it was finalized and formalized only recently. So there is nothing wrong with it. It's happened all over the world, in all commercial transaction, in all defense transaction. You can announce it once you have more or less agreed. You can announce it and you can be formalized later. You know, all the approvals and all that can take place later. There is the law is, everything is in accordance with the law. Supreme Court would know about these things better than you and me, and you will see in due course of time what Supreme Court has to say on the issue. The final point I want to make is, with Maruf Raza also tried to make it. The point is the Air Force asked for Air Force asked for.
I cannot carry on like this. I've just got the last 4 minutes on the show. You will have to stop talking right now. No. Okay, Maruf Raza, I'm coming to you, and the question is that in August 2015, okay, nobody understands anything except for you and me, and I think it's important that we tell people stuff like this. But give me a minute, and Maruf Raza, coming to you, in August 2015, while Rafale contract was being negotiated, there was a policy amendment that was made by the Ministry of Defense, and that did away with the scrutiny of the offset proposal. Fair enough, and which is exactly what the government has told the court, that the centre's response had nothing to do with it. The vendor had to come up with an Indian offset partner. The final name has actually not even been submitted just yet, and it is in the manner to be prescribed. Why was this amendment made? Was this amendment made because, you know, people could wash away their hands and say that they had no idea? Why amend when a policy is being negotiated? Because this will raise eyebrows.
See, Supriya, there are a couple of points, and I'll answer your question also. I'll quickly run through it. The first thing is, you know, it's been repeatedly said by people in the opposition parties that how could the cost jump from about 600 crores to 1600 crores or thereabouts, if different figures are being thrown around. If you divide 36 by 59,000 crores, it comes to 1638 crores. That is the fully loaded cost of the aircraft. The fact of the matter is that you cannot buy an aircraft purely the bare shell and expect to go to war with it. So the costs jump dramatically with the add-on features, and nobody seems to be countering that. I mean, these features, they are saying, fine, those features are the same that we had talked about. I have seen the documentation. The fact of the matter is those features were being negotiated at 2,000 crores an aircraft. The government brought it down to 1,640 crores. Now, just give you another example. Fully loaded versions of 24 aircrafts were given to Qatar and Egypt at less than 7 billion euros. We got 36 aircraft for less than 9 billion euros.
Answer the question that I'm asking you.
Do your maths and you realize we got cheaper aircrafts. Now, the second question, and now I'm coming to your question. Please give me a minute. You know, the fact is that why was the offset clause changed? Why was the offset clause? The offset clause was changed because, and that was not implemented until later in 2016 in Mr. Maroon Parikar's time. The clause change was that 300 crore upward deals would require an offset investment. Then they went to 2,000 crore upward deals would require offset investment, because the thing was the scrutiny by the ministry was making it very difficult to draw any offset investment into India. That is the official justification that various analysts have given in the public domain. And finally, and very important point that we must understand is that people keep saying that the Rafale and the sir, please let me answer.
Okay.
I didn't interrupt you. The thing is that Rafale
Maruf, make it fast. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time here.
Basically talking of a price which is far in a, you know, it is an insult. It is an insult to the intellect of the Indian people.
No, I'm done with the price. Maruf Raza, give me a minute.
French, that they've gone and sold an aircraft.
No, we are not interested in this, please. We're going to talk facts here.
I mean, can you believe it?
Maruf,
it is unbelievable.
Supriya ji, I need to come in.
Just give me a minute now. I am going to go forward. Yes. Others and Bopara, make your point.
You
1 second.
Supriya ji, I need 30 seconds.
Don't do discussions like these. I am not going to let you do a discussion like that. Others and Bopara, come in.
This is not that North Korean
Adil Singh
channel,
Bopra, talk.
Maruji.
Just mute Maruf's audio right now.
The
I don't do discussions like this. It's a genuine request to all my panel. I don't do discussions like these. Please speak one at a time, and all of you will get a time to talk. I've just got the last two minutes on the show. Adil Singh Bopra, come in because I also need to go to Sanjay Hegde very quickly. Adil Singh Bopra.
The core issue here is the selection of the offset partner, and why would Dassault, and I am again reiterating this question, why would Dassault invest 284 crore rupees in a defunct company which has a loss of 9 lakhs? Please, Mr. Raza needs to answer this question. This is where the scam is. This is the money trail. This is the kickback which was paid by the French to Anil Ambani, which will eventually be routed to Mr. Modi and the BJP. Why 284 crore rupees in a company which is no operation, which is defunct, which doesn't even have the share capital of 15 lakhs? You follow business very closely.
Adil, if you
so
have
proof, this is the scam. And a company with zero prior defense
Adil, 1 second. Adil,
you give an offset contract to a company with zero prior defense experience.
You're raising an important
intelligence.
No, Adil Singh Bopra, you're raising a pertinent point there. Many people will raise eyebrows on why. Okay, are you done? Because I think you've raised an important point. Many people will question that, but unless and until there is no proof, we cannot jump to the conclusion that this is the money trail. So I'm going to reserve my judgment there. But Sanjay Hegde, I'll ask you a final question and let you have the final word on this show. Given how the courts are now looking into this and there is a loud clamor for a JPC, is a court-monitored probe the most obvious conclusion that one draws as far as the Rafale deal is concerned?
Well, as to what conclusion the court will draw, I will not look into my crystal ball on that. The point is that administrative law is concerned not with the merits of the decision, but with the process. Was there a fair and transparent process followed? And is the decision something which is an outrageous defiance of logic? All these points that Mr. Raza has put forward or Mr. Bopra have put forward, various sides will no doubt urge all that. Do you need a special court monitored investigation? That would be predicated on the court finding criminality in the deal. We are not yet there at that stage. Today we are at a stage where the court is looking at the government's justification for whatever has happened, and it's just basically trying to fit a timeline to events and saying whether things pan out. That's the court is right now taking a gut feel of the matter. I would not hazard a guess as to how the matter develops, because as we saw in the 2G, things started off with one company alleging it, and then others who were left out jumped in.
Right.
And the matter took a life of its own.
Yes.
So the first thing for the government is do not try to hide anything. Be as transparent as possible.
Transparent. Fair point indeed, and sunlight, they say, is the best disinfectant. Of course, this affidavit does leave many questions unanswered. What happened to indigenization? 108 aircraft were to be made in India. That has gone off the roof. What happens to all of that? Who took the call to take 36? I understand the points that are being put on the table, but I think Rafale is a row and a debate that will carry on. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for speaking to us this evening. I wish we had more time to talk about many other important aspects of the Rafale deal. Thank you very much, Maruf Raza, Sanjay Hegde, Narendra Taneja, and Adil Singh Bopra, for sparing your time and speaking to us. On this edition of the India Development Debate, we put the spotlight on Rafale, but on the next edition of the India Development Debate, we will be talking about the big picture as far as the RBI versus the government is concerned and the role of the board. Thank you very much for being with us.